Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Beyond Hegemony. Me and Sahana are barely here, but we're here. And thanks for joining us. And whoever is watching the playback, thank you for taking the time to join us on our biweekly discussion about hegemony and how we can tear that mother effer down.
Yeah. Yep.
Tear it down. What's going on, Sahana?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm barely here, and I'm sorry uh, because I think I delayed our start.
It's okay.
It's 40 degrees here in mid-April, and feels like 46. There is a red alert for the heat. I've been in Bombay for 36 years, 36 plus years, and I have never experienced this kind of heat. And
Wow.
if I see any climate denier now, I'm going to straight up, I'm going to slap that person if they say climate change is not happening. Just slap that person. I don't care. I don't care how juvenile that sounds because it is this whole lobby, this capitalistic MF motherfucking lobby
Exactly.
that is completely derailing the planet because
Absolutely.
a handful of people can live in their glorified empire at the cost of the rest of us and the cost of the rest of the literally the entire world. What they
You
don't
said
realize, I mean, what? Uh, okay, Trina, you go. I'm just so on fire. I'm just going to use so many bad words. It will probably land. So let me just
take a
cool
deep
down.
breath. Keep the
Yep.
internal temperature down. Keep it down, Shana.
Yep.
I don't want to
And
see
poor
anything
Gary,
from
when he hears
fire.
this, he's going to have to like do a okay, beep out, beep out, beep out.
I love how we can still laugh at the fuckery of the world. You know what I mean? That we can still
Oh
find joy
yeah.
just because it is sometimes it's so ridiculous that if you don't laugh, you
I mean,
cry.
you've got to. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, they are just so. Yeah, you go, Trina. I just have so many expletives
Well,
right now.
when you sent me that text, I said, "Oh, we got to lead with that because we're doing different subjects, and I think we're supposed to be talking about tech today, but I really don't care. We're going to talk about
And
climate,
tech is related. We'll bring tech in. Don't worry.
totally
We'll
related.
bring. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is,
We'll bring in the Silicon Bros. Yep.
yeah, because it is the impact of these oligarchy and their greed that have impacted the planet. And I mean, we
Yep.
literally, as a species, live on 1% of the whole entire planet at one time. Okay. And then the rest of it is just being um, exploited and creating
Yep.
toxic fumes that affect the planet and affect
Yep.
species. Like, I mean, how many species have died? Like 300, 400 species have died since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Like, it is absolutely insane how our climate has changed so dramatically. And that's just in the last 10 years of my life. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
I see. And now you're telling me it's 40 something degrees there in Mumbai.
and
It
and
is
the red alert is that it feels like 46. so we I go for an evening walk. I went out yesterday, and I literally, it was like I literally rebounded in, literally, the
mm,
heat coming off the pavement and the road.
yeah.
It hits you like you are walking into a sauna. Now you
Yeah.
can be in a sauna for whatever reason, but you can't walk to a sauna for 45 minutes,
No way. No
and you're
way.
not meant to, and you're not meant.
Right. And it affects your health because what do we need to do? We need to walk 30 minutes a day walking. I started your book that you recommend, The Walking Life. Is that the title
It's
of it?
amazing.
It's
Yes,
beautiful. It's
it is
beautiful.
beautiful. I mean, a shout out to Antonia Malchik who's written it. I messaged her on LinkedIn, and she is amazing. Her Substack is amazing, and we need people like her on this show. Maybe we'll invite her one day. And
Oh,
this is a
absolutely. The
message
more
to
the
her from
merrier.
all of us. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That book, just the first chapter of it, I was like, it
Yes,
felt so humanizing.
yes,
It felt so
yes,
grounded. It was like, okay, get off of my lately sedentary ass and go for a walk
yes,
daily.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
Because it broadens it outside of just a physical health
yes,
need. It's a
yes.
spiritual need. It's
And
a mind.
then you think of this kind of temperature. People like me, I at least have the luxury, the choice of sitting
Mhm,
indoor, even if
mhm.
I'm melting inside. But imagine those people who have to work outside, who physically have to just make the day meet, bring one meal to the table, two meals to the table. Who have
Yeah.
to, I mean, they are going to just so today our topic was technology. So when I think of okay, no expletives. Sorry, Gary. Okay. Um, so when I we have to beep out so much of this conversation, Trina. I don't know what to do. Okay,
I'll have to change the setting on the podcast this time.
I know.
Well,
I'm
nowadays,
18.
cursing is not a big deal. That's not a big deal on cursing. It's not a good deal. Okay.
So the Silicon Valley and their glorified technology, what has it done during COVID? Nada, nothing, nothing,
Nothing.
zero, absolutely zilch. Okay, during this kind of crisis, zilch. All they are good at is making more nuclear weapons or surveillance instruments or
Right.
digging into people's private lives or
Right.
creating unnecessary products that get people addicted to the platform so that people lose their, teenagers are losing their balance mentally. So,
Right.
rise in mental health. I mean, what the effing good is technology doing to us? And it can't because it is coming from that kind of mindset which is so addicted to profit and power. It can't think of doing anything else, no matter what it desires. So
That's right.
technology designed for nuclear bomb, wipe out Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We have the power. Okay, now wipe out with drone warfare, wipe out Gaza and whatever else who don't meet our, who don't obey us. That's what technology is being used for. Or deep
And
sea trawling. Dig
and
up
that
the ocean, blow up mountain tops.
let's not forget to mention the environmental impact of every bomb that is dropped.
Oh my
The what it
God.
does to the air, what it does to the atmosphere. It is ridiculous the amount of toxicity.
Gaza's environmental impact is like 20 countries or more.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're never thinking in
the
the way
amount
of.
of bomb dropped on them will take, I don't even know how many years to clear up.
I don't know. I don't know if we continue at the rate. If we let hegemony continue at the rate that it is, we'll have no planet. I don't know if you've ever, I'm a big history buff. I love archaeology. And when I discovered the Sumerian tablets, and the story of Anunnaki and the Ijiji and all of these different beings, my light bulb went on. Like I can't tell you how much in alignment that story on those ancient stones is right now. How close we
Yeah,
are at obliterating our own planet by the same type
yeah,
of mentality of people, a
yeah.
hierarchical, uh, uh, self-important,
Supremacist. Yeah, yeah,
narcissistic
yeah.
entity beings just
I mean,
sucking the lights out
look,
of planets.
look at technology coming out of Silicon Valley. Look at it. AI, AGI, I don't know, fucking any AI, whatever. None of that is geared towards making a healing impact. They
No.
are just glorified plagiarism tools. Take
Yeah.
information free from the internet, created by millions of us, and turn it up. Do whatever the shit you want with it. Because
Yeah.
you have. You have the power. I mean, we all have the power. I mean, anyone picking up a machete or a knife has the power to kill another person. Do you go and do it?
No, because we have humanity. We're humane, and I was having a discussion with one of my clients who's deeply religious, and she's like, "You're rocking me a little bit, Trina," and I said, "In what way?" I have been so indoctrinated, she continued, in scripture that I didn't really know the history of this world. I just say one thing, oh, uh, God's going to get me through, or this and that. And I told her one thing uh, months ago. You have your own divinity, and if and I do believe there is a higher consciousness that we call God. If you don't know how to connect to the image that you're supposed to be of a God, how are you going to connect to the higher consciousness that is God?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
what you can't, you're like just throwing prayers and chanting out into the ethers, and it's not landing anywhere, you know, especially since all of the things that we've been told about what religion is and what spirituality is a complete lie and a complete farce. So, who are you praying to? Jesus? Jesus, the letter J, is only 500 years old. And guess who created the letter J? The Roman Empire.
yeah.
And then people don't know that the letter J, Jesus, means Hail Zeus. Ain't even close to the real name that was written in much older scriptures before it was rewritten, and rewritten. So I've been just kind of like, oh, I'm all for this conversation because I can do it respectfully and with all the love and compassion in my heart. Because I was once on that journey of trying to understand why we are, not who we are, but why we are. So
Exactly.
here, read this. Read the life of Isa. Read the book of Enoch. Read all these other scriptures. Oh, this is a really interesting Indian perspective over here about it, because the book of Isa was when he was in India and
Yeah.
um,
He,
in
he's
that
known as Eshu here. He's not called Jesus, he's called Eshu.
Esu.
Yes, Eshu.
Yeah. And he's called Yahweh in the older scriptures.
Yeah,
But see, a
yeah.
lot of modern Christians don't even know this. And so she says, "You're rocking my foundation a little bit." And I said, "Good, because maybe it's built on lies."
Yeah. And that's the problem. I mean, picking up from there, Trina, look at
Hmm.
the foundation of this current civilization, current order, and this is barely like 500 years old. If you look at like colonialism, imperialism, and all of that. Prior
Right.
to that, yes, civilizations have come and gone. Civilizations rose and fell, whether
Mm,
Mayan or Incan or in Indus Valley or Harappan or Chinese or Minoan. They came, they went. But a Mayan civilization falling did not rock the whole world because at that point it wasn't yet a globally connected,
yeah.
continent spanning, supply chain connected world. They were
And
still in their own
technological.
pocket.
They didn't have the
Yes, and
technology that we have now
they
to
didn't
destroy.
have, and they didn't have. So, if something happened in Egypt, it stayed in Egypt. Later on, archaeologists found about it,
Right.
historians wrote about it, and
Right.
anthropologists spoke about it, whatever. But the point is, today, in a uber connected world, in a technologically super connected, continent spanning, supply chain related world, to
Hmm.
deliberately sow division, to deliberately create wars and misgovernance, to deliberately try to gain power and privilege, is not
Hmm.
only criminal, it is going to be impossible because no one is going to bow down to one nation just because they say, hey, look, we have white skin, so you have to obey us. F you. Who cares? You might have blue and green skin for all we care. We don't care. But are you a
Exactly.
true and good human being? I don't care if you have blue skin or green skin or yellow upper, but do
Right.
you have the heart? Do you have compassion? Can you be with us and together in humbleness and humility? Otherwise, we don't care. And that's
That's right.
precisely what's happening. The hegemony is suddenly woken up and realized no one cares. Everyone is
No.
just, rising. Nobody cares. And everyone has seen through that. So now there is this desperate scramble for war here, war there, drop a bomb, create some, fake enemies, blame this person, blame this country, blame that country. China is bad, Russia is bad, the whole world is bad. Hey, but we are the victims and the good guys.
It's oh, oh,
Yeah.
lost you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So then yeah, so basically this is what I keep telling people. We're just watching, you know how we have entertainment enters you to attain an effect. We're on, there's this world stage happening, and all of these are theatrics. All of these theatrics,
Yeah.
because if you take the time to learn anything, you can see that none of this makes sense. Like none of it. None of the reactions make sense. None of the actions, the initiations doesn't make sense. It's all a calculated move. Let's move them towards this way. They they knew, for example, Israel knew that they were going to get attacked, but they also are the ones that funded and empowered Hamas. But now there's Hamas. They needed to create an enemy, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they
I mean, they
created
just
one.
needed an enemy to continue doing what they always wanted to do.
What they always planned to do. So now, oh,
Yeah,
you attacked us, and now we're going to wipe you off the earth, and it's just ethnic cleansing. It's just
of
ethnic
course.
cleansing because
And it has happened all the time. It
yeah,
has
yeah,
happened all the time.
all throughout
I
history. It's colonial mindset.
and it's as recent as 1947, 1942, when Winston Churchill prevented or rather deliberately shipped India's wheat and rice for war effort. And when 3 million people starved, 3 million died. But of course, it's not a Holocaust because we are not white skinned, right? But
Right.
3 million and more died. That's the
Yeah.
official number. So many died on the streets of Calcutta. And my parents, my aunts, they were youngsters. They remembered those days
Wow.
of skeletal figures begging for rice water and dying on the streets of Calcutta. Because Winston Churchill said this has to go for war effort, World War II effort. And anyways, Indians breed like rabbits, don't you know? But they had to come to India to steal our wealth.
Yep. Yep.
So when you see the bigger picture, you realize there is this concerted move by a handful of people over and over and over and over again towards, like you said, Trina, towards a certain direction, so that
Hmm.
that band keeps, that keeps their status and power and privilege intact, and the rest
Right.
of the world can go to hell in a handbasket. But they
Right.
don't
Right.
care. Tomorrow it won't take them a second to turn on their own people. If sufficient people just refuse to,
Right.
do. Today, I mean, look at Germany. They are jailing Jews. I mean, how? It's not even. It's beyond irony. It is pathetic. They are jailing Jews for protesting. I mean, what is happening? Europe is
I told
literally
you it makes
combusting.
no sense. It makes no sense. They will go on their Main Street propaganda rags and media and say about the war between Russia and Ukraine that they can't starve the people, they can't do that. But when it comes to Israel and Palestine,
That's
silent.
fine.
Well, they have a right to defend themselves. You know. Well, so does
Yeah,
Iran. So does
of
this guy.
course.
But the
Every
point,
other country.
yeah. But the point is it's all calculated anyway. I'm not. I've gotten to a point, and I encourage all my clients to get to a point of non-responsiveness about it because I really do see what you said. There's a top people on top and they're not country leaders. Country leaders answer to them. Okay,
Yes, oh yes. Country
whether
leaders are just their stooges.
they're
Tomorrow,
just
if leader A doesn't obey, it will just be someone else. They don't care.
yeah, yeah, because they exterminate as many people who actually see the game and want it to change as possible. So they're just
Yes.
moving pieces all the time. And
I mean,
and right now that's why they're freaking out about Africa, because
yes,
now they're waking up and they're like, wait a minute, because this younger generation is coming. The Gen Zers are
yes.
coming up in power.
The
The
TikTokers
TikTokers,
are refusing to be taken in, and not only are they refusing to be taken in, they are going out and spreading the word that hey, look, these guys are messing with our
yeah,
lives, with our planet, with our brain, with our everything. So just screw them and let's create something else. And they're actually
exactly,
going ahead and creating it and doing it and
exactly, and
showing us the how to do it, what to say, and how to be. So now
exactly,
the octogenarians who are the sitting on top, they're
yeah,
actually octogenarians today, are
yeah.
shivering in their boots because oh my god, my end of life is not going to be as comfortable as my last 8 years. Oh
You
my
mean
god, I don't want.
psychotic? I find it psychotic that
Yes,
the amount of
but that's
consumption.
exactly where they are. Look at 80-year-old country quote unquote leaders. I won't take names, you know who I am talking about.
Yes.
Look at them trying to decimate other end of the planet, even as they near the end of their lives. You would think they would give all of this up and go and do some gardening peacefully somewhere and just drop out of all of this and lead a peaceful life in a hermitage or
No,
do some gardening. And there is a
no.
reason, in Indian Vedas, our
Mhm.
lives are divided into four parts. Okay,
Okay.
four parts. The first is 25 years, where you are a student, you are a
Mhm.
learner, you are literally learning from the world around you, and
Mhm.
preferably in earlier days, all of these brahmacharya ashrams would be in forests because
Mhm.
our scripture believes you learn as much from the forest, if not more, than from anything else. I
Mhm.
mean, as much from the living world, if not if, as from other humans.
Mhm.
So the first 25 years is where you learn, grow, uh, see yourself, as in try to understand yourself, go within, learn about the world. Next 25 years is where you set up your family life. You build
Mm.
your home, you build your family, you take care of your family. And the subsequent, that's still 50 years. From 50
Mhm.
to 75 is where your family is now settled. You are gradually again going back to being a learner and also
Mhm.
gradually withdrawing and
Mhm.
minimizing your lifestyle, withdrawing from the turmoil of daily living and becoming minimalistic, letting go of things you don't need, and gradually again becoming a deeper learner, a wiser elder. And the
Mm.
last 25 years, you literally like go away to a hermitage, away from the humdrumness of life. And today there are, but people won't go away to a hermitage. But that was the philosophical pattern. And
Yes.
today, people of 80 grasping for power,
It's
I find that
ridiculous.
I find that repulsive, honestly repulsive. And
It's fear. It's a fear of being obsolete and believing that they're better, greater, smarter than anybody
and
else.
that
And
fear
I'm
of being obsolete comes from inner hollowness because there is nothing inside.
exactly. There's
They're
nothing.
just straw men, hollow men, like scarecrows that you create out of straw and stick in a field, which a
Yeah.
storm can blow away.
Yeah.
But because there is nothing inside, there's so much of clinging on the outside that you create this massive psychopathologically impossible world because
Right.
we are projecting the inside on the outside. When
Exactly.
no
They're
one in their
projecting
right
that.
minds can take the kinds of decisions the hegemonic leaders are taking. No one
Right.
with a slight semblance of inner wisdom can do that. Not
Right.
at the age of 80. Not at any age.
No.
Not at any age.
You could speak to a child that would know better than most of these men
They
that are
do. They do.
leading us right
They
now.
do.
Yeah, because they come in with this innate wisdom that we completely rip from them and indoctrinate them into a stupid system that actually makes them dumber than when before they went in. So it's all by design. So with that in mind, and because I got this vision as when you were talking about what you just said, how are we going to propel people into this unification? Because right now, I see it happening more than I ever have. And you said something very profound about the every 25 years changing. I actually say to my clients, every 10 years we change, and then we take what we learned in the previous 10 years and apply it to now. And it depends on what, if it was positive or negative, we're going to apply it to the next 10 years, and that's going to be the result until you flip a switch and decide, okay, I don't need to do that, right? It's just kind of the proliferation of trauma. How we're going to pull people out of this cycle and get those old fogies, like what's his name, President Carter, the only president that I can think of that I actually like, because that's what he did. He went from that presidency, and he went and tended his garden, and he went out and
Yeah.
helped people. And I think it's
Yeah.
because there was a knowledge and a sense of guilt that he knew what our government was. And
Yeah.
so he was like, let me make amends now, before I go into the next world. I want to make amends and start building houses for people, start. And I know people who have worked with that organization or come in contact with him, and he's sincerely a down to earth person. This is not just
Yeah.
a
I've,
media
I've read
idiot.
that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't
So
keep up a facade for that long without things, not
no,
in
no,
today's world. Yeah.
no. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So I had I say often on this podcast, just stop. And the reason why I say just stop is because nothing moves in this world without us. And
Yeah.
so my goal is to get everybody to awaken to that inner power, to that
Yeah.
inner divinity, so
Yeah.
that whatever we speak into the world is unified. We're all
Yeah.
speaking the same language instead of this Tower of Babel that we've been
Yeah.
existing.
Yeah. 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 And you know what you're saying? Just stop.
Hmm.
That is so important at so many levels. It's see, so look at what the current world, or rather the current narrative of hegemony, constantly propels us to do. Be
Hmm.
productive. Be productive. At
Hmm.
what? So basically, we are being productive. Half of it, at least, are bullshit jobs. Okay, which if you take away, will not
Right.
affect anyone. I can think of a million organizations where you take the CEOs away, send them, package them up, send them on a to the moon or something for hopefully a
Mhm.
long period of time, and
Yeah,
nothing, no one will notice they're gone
that's right.
except for their shareholder friends. But you take the front line away, the two front lines away, the company is going to suffer. Yet, yet a CEO gets, I don't know, some 500% more than on average than a frontline worker.
Hmm.
Now, if you look at that kind of a disparity and that continued disparity over the years, and of course the absolutely fucked up myth of the trickle down economy, which never trickles down,
Never.
never trickles down, except that the labor trickles upwards constantly.
Right.
So what have we? We have created So this narrative has created this myth in our minds that we have
Mm.
to be constantly doing something.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Doing what? Being productive. Okay, what does that being productive mean? Productive at what? Who is doing the doing? If if so many people are productive, then why are economies collapsing? Why
Yeah.
is there homelessness? Why are people not surviving? And why are more than 2 billion not surviving on less than $1 a day? So, what has all of this hyper productivity and efficiency and technology and AI and MF? Oh, okay, never mind. Keep that out. Has brought, what has it done? If this is what it has done, then let's not be productive. Let's
There you
stop.
go. That's stuff.
Let's be slow. Let's just take in nature. Let's
Right.
have leisure. Let's have joy. Let's dance. Let's sing. Let's imagine. Let's create. Let's tell stories. Let's just link arms and walk down the street.
Right.
Unless it is so motherfucking hot, I can't. But other than that, let let's do everything the hegemony says we mustn't. Let's
There you
relax.
go.
Let's not be productive. Let's build communities. Let's have fun.
Let's all
Let's
have
dream.
oppositional defiant disorder. They always love making
Yes,
up new,
yes,
new, new things
I
for
love
people.
that. Let's
Yeah.
all oppose. Let's be defined.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be defined in the most deliberate and beautiful way possible.
That's right.
Let's be
And
defined.
that's why they're throwing peaceful protesters at universities. It,
Yeah. So, I mean,
in
this is
jail.
literally hegemony throwing a tantrum. This is
Exactly.
literally hegemony throwing a tantrum. No, 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 you can't protest. You have to listen to us. How dare you not listen? Okay, so in you go. Okay, great. I mean, there was a time before India's independence, and why I'm bringing this story is because that was the British Empire being
Mm-hmm.
hegemonic, of course. That
Right.
only, I mean, the empire can be nothing else.
Yes.
And this was when, in 1942, Indians were up in arms asking the British to leave, that
Right.
we've had enough of you. So they said, okay, if you help us in our World War II effort, we will grant you dominion status. So our leaders then, Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi et al., they said, no, we want full independence now. Only if you grant us full independence now, as equal partners, we'll help you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no. Otherwise, so but the hegemony had only one answer. Okay, let's arrest people who are protesting. So on the evening or the morning after the Quit India protest happened on 8th of August 1942, on the 9th of August morning at 5 a.m., the British went around picking up people, all the leaders and everyone, every worker. So they
Mm-hmm.
incarcerated 60,000 people for 3 years
Oh my goodness.
till the World War II ended. Because, well, we are not going to. And by then, it had become so expensive for the British to maintain India because they were all over the place, anyways. And
Mm.
so, what happened? Indians just refused to cooperate. That is
There you
where Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent, non-cooperation started. No
Yes.
fighting, no, nothing, no aggression, nothing. We will just not cooperate. No,
Yep.
so no one went to office. No one attended any of the government run anything. No one worked. They just stopped. So that was
Yep.
non-cooperation. Nothing. And the British had no idea how to deal with that. So they lathi charged as in, they beat up people with batons, they harassed, they jailed. The first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, in a total of British regime, spent more than 10 years in jail.
Mm.
In total, the last 3 years before he was released, he was in jail. So that's all the answer they have, incarcerate. Because they know what they're asking for is actually not going to be given. So it has to be forced out. And
Oh yeah.
anything that has to be forced out can't be right.
No. And it's
Why would
not
I have to
productive.
force?
It's not even productive to do it. It's like
No,
punishing punishing your dog for pooping in the corner 5 hours ago. That dog don't know what the hell you're talking about, or in our case, we don't care. We know you. It's like trying to pick up the kid off the floor when they're throwing a tantrum and they're dead weight. It's so hard to do, right? So I think we should just all. That's what we should do,
Stop.
and and,
Just
and
stop. Don't
just stop.
cooperate. That's it. And we have examples of that.
Right. But so everybody, the problem is the reason why people are not doing that in mass like they could and they should is because they are fear based and they've got all of these belief
And
systems
I understand
programmed.
they have to bring bread to the table. So
Yeah.
it's like if I don't work today, I don't get a meal tomorrow.
Right.
Many people are living like that, hand to mouth, and that's a deliberate ploy to keep
Yeah.
people hand to mouth. So they are completely tied to this, like it's like another form of slavery. If
Right.
they're tied to that whatever meaningless or meaningful whatever job, because
Right.
tomorrow otherwise I can't feed my kids, I can't pay my bills, I can't. So this
And that's
entire fear-based mechanism is exactly what they're using.
and they put all these structures in place, even like I told you earlier, we only live on 1% of the planet. So they colonize or try to say they own the other parts for their exploitation, when in fact we all, I know myself as well, I know you probably, if I could just go out, give me a plot of land, and just do what I need to do, I'd learn, because that's what we're built to do as a species anyway. This locking us in these cities and in these boxes have just impacted our health so negatively. And I know some people will be like, I'm not going living on the land. But what if that was what would allow you to actually be free? Because every person that I know that get to that last that minimalization part, I love that. I'm going to be going to that all the time. Stage of life where you start minimalizes I I'm there now. The
Yeah,
less more.
yeah.
I'm If I could do the next 25 years already, I would, but I have a child to raise. So I can't go live on the mountaintop. I get as close as I can to it though.
Yeah.
And people find it strange, but I already did all of that. Well, I don't want to say learning, but I already did all that masking, you know,
And
and
and it
go ahead.
brings when you minimalize, and this is something I've experienced. When
Mhm.
you actually minimalize, it brings you so much peace and calm. Because you don't have to take care of a gazillion things. It is simple. Life
So
becomes simple. You're not concentrating on meaningless stuff. I
mm,
mean, I remember this is a personal experience, but I don't know if others have felt it. But
mhm.
I remember the first time I went to the USA and to New York, I was like, oh my God, why is everything so outlandishly large and loud and overlit? And I mean, it's okay, it's great to look at for some time and marvel. And I'm like, but why? Why? Why is Times Square so, it was like, there's just so much light and so many hoardings and so much of everything. And
Yeah.
overly large buildings and overly tall, and everything was like ultra, mega, extra.
Yeah.
And
Why you got to be so extra?
yeah, and I'm like, okay, wait, did you have to like build one tall tower as historical? Okay, great. But why are
Yeah.
everything so, and everything had to be like 115 floors or 100 and whatever floors.
Hmm.
And I had come at that point, I had traveled down by train from a tiny little suburb in Connecticut, Fairfield, okay, which was like
Hmm.
kind of calm. And Fairfield is later where the tragedy of Sandy Hook happened. And I had traveled down by train, and it was calm. It was very pleasant. Yes, I saw stretches of nothing, and then
Hmm.
a mall like 20 miles away. And I used to wonder, why is nothing walkable? Why is
Mm.
everything? Why must every place be reached
To
by
sell
car?
cars. They have to
Because
sell
then I realized,
cars.
exactly, they have to sell cars. So they built a city, or rather erased walkable cities and turned them into these mega highways for cars. So
That's
you end
right.
up with a mall 20, 30 miles away and stretches of fields in between where you can't get to without a car.
Hmm.
And I, coming from a crowded city, okay, polluted city, but a walkable city, I was like, why? Then the gadgets. There is gadgets for everything, for boiling water, for making coffee, for boiling milk. I'm like, why? I just need a little pot and a pan. I can boil water, make coffee. I don't
There,
even need all these switches and gears and what the fuck they are. It took
yeah.
me like a week to figure out, without spilling coffee beans all over the floor, how to make that machine run. And I was cursing myself. I told myself, next time I'm just going to carry my pot and pan and walk into the hotel's kitchen and boil my water. I don't give a damn. Why do you need these gadgets?
Because
I could figure
the
out.
complication. The complication is a justification for capitalism. There's nothing. There's
It
nothing.
is so complicated for
Yeah,
no good reason.
none. Nothing. It's most
Uh,
of everything that we have is complicated for, or has the illusion of convenience. That's what it
which
is.
is
It's an
so not
illusion.
convenient. And all you need to do is turn on the gas, you boil some water, pour it into a mug, and that's it. No, you need to
Right.
press this button, press that button, make sure the light is on, make sure the plug is plugged on. And by the end of it, I was ready to throw that coffee maker out the window.
And the way that it's the constant, I was just saying to a client, I said, I am so sick of capitalism right now. I made a TikTok video saying capitalism needs to die. Okay. It just needs to die because
Yeah,
right now we're in technically in World War III. I would say it actually started
yeah,
three
yeah,
to 5 years ago anyway,
yeah,
behind the
yeah.
scenes. And you're trying to hawk cars to me still on LinkedIn ads. You're still trying to
What the
hawk, but you're trying to sell me. I am beyond the retail therapy
who
now.
needs that? I
No,
mean,
nobody does. Nobody does.
honestly, I've never owned a car. I still don't own one. I don't understand cars in the sense it's a convenient vehicle that gets me from point A to point B, and there are plenty available publicly. I don't need one. And they all
That's
look the same to a box with four wheels, a large box or a small box. That's it.
that's right.
I couldn't tell
I
a
don't care
different
if it
car
has
from one to the other. I don't
Mercedes,
care.
BMW, all that
I
stuff.
don't
And
care.
no, no. If you look back and you see the industries that screwed up the world. Oh, another point I just found out. Not found out, just found out, but something that has finally come to the mainstream. Uh, Plastic is not recyclable, people.
It
It's
is not.
not recyclable. They have been
No.
pushing down our throats, recycle, recycle, recycle. You get maybe one more use out of that baby, and that's it. And it goes right into a landfill. Okay. I've seen people get creative with it to try to recycle it. The only thing that I can imagine it would be good for is shredding up and making bricks. That's it. But it would we have literally microplastics in our bloodstream right now.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
is plastic? Oil. It is a byproduct of the oil industry. And who runs the oil? Who ran the industry and lied to us and said it was fossil fuels? There's no fossils in oil. It's a fully abundant thing in the
So
planet.
basically, everything they have turned. Look at agriculture. All the pesticides and the GMOs. Everything is there is more oil than soil in agriculture today.
Exactly.
Industrial agriculture has more oil than soil
Exactly.
because everything is connected back to, if you see, two or three mega industries who are
Exactly.
controlling everything. I mean, what business does Bill Gates? Okay, IT Mac great. You have done some great things with Microsoft. Wonderful. What business do you have in agriculture? What business do
Zero.
you have in education?
Zero.
Why are you in those sectors? What the F are you doing in India bringing your education model that failed in America and thrusting it down our throat,
Exactly.
using us as experimental pigs? Why?
They did it. They
Trusting
did it in
down
Africa,
your own.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they will make sure that their kids get the best, so that their kids are creative and thinking and the tycoons, while the rest of the world are turned into mindless labor for this gigantic hegemonic machine that must keep running till the planet is drained dry.
That's right. Yeah.
And unless we wake up, and collectively said no, we can simplify. We don't need a larger car. We don't need another phone. We don't need another laptop until and unless mine completely stops functioning. And do
Hmm.
not dare to build in deliberately. So, what is that called? Obsolescence, deliberate obsolescence that is built into technology so that you have to repeatedly keep buying one every 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
Don't
You
you dare
see
do
that?
that. Don't
Did
you dare to do that.
you see Apple iPhone is down 10% or something like that in its profits this year. And
Awesome. I must
I
celebrate that.
said applaud. I
Yes,
applaud because
I applaud
part
it.
of the part of the reason why we have children in the Congo, being abused and exploited is because of those damn phones and electric cars. I feel the same way about electric cars. Elon Musty, his false propaganda about how they were going to save the environment. Where's that? Where is that? Where is that
He
shit?
can't. I mean, he is one of the stupidest guy on this planet. He just happens to own billions.
I don't get it. I don't get why so many
He's
people
just
look for
surrounded
that
by
man.
psychophans. He's just surrounded by psychophans who are trying to make, if he's got billions, they're trying to make a few millions of him. That's it.
Yeah.
And he
I I
can't do anything. He's just a
I
spoiled brat who has happened to, he's just a spoiled brat throwing a
he's
tantrum
rich.
all the time.
He's a rich kid. And that's the
He's,
funny part is that
I
when
find him really despicable. Anyway,
on a personal note, I remember when my now ex-husband told me that he really looked up to him, and I was like, well, this is the end. I knew.
this is the end. Okay.
I was like, and why? It was like totally the same mentality. It's totally and having multiple babies and stuff like that. I'm sorry, people. I love children more than like everybody else, but if you're having a kid right now, there's something wrong because you don't know. You're putting them in a position, and this you're just making them a new slave for the machine. That's all I can see right now, and that's why Gen
Unless
Z is like,
you
I ain't
know how
having
to
no,
bring them up very differently.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you know how to bring them up very differently. And
Oh
you
yeah.
can devote yourself to bring them up outside of the hegemony.
If you can do that, let's do it. But if you're not willing to put that effort, if you're not willing to homeschool, if you're not willing to minimalize and not teach them capitalism and all of these really shallow things, then guess what? You should wait or not because it's going you're basically birthing them into a state of slavery. That's what you're doing, you know? But oh, we gotta go.
Okay.
That was
Yep.
great. Shahada, any last thoughts before we sign off here?
Yeah. Going back to what you said, stop as much as possible. I understand people have to make a living, but stop. Those who can, stop. Slow down. Stop
Hmm.
cooperating to the degree where you're buying stuff you don't need.
There you go.
Think before you buy. Do
Yes.
not fall for the next model and the next propaganda and the next big car or whatever shit people fall for. Don't. You don't need it. You don't need to show your neighbor how expensive your car is. They don't care at the end.
Exactly. And to add to that point, and my last words here is stop buying processed foods. Stop buying things that are actually making you sick. Um, Learn how to grow your own food. Learn how go back to your roots. Go back to our ancestors. Go look to the indigenous people. Stop putting your nose up to just normal life work that actually putting your hands in the soil it actually does positive things for your body and it's a natural antidepressant. Hug a tree, hug a damn tree. Because guess what? All of these chemicals they're pumping into you that have oil in it and petroleum and all this stuff is not making you healthier. They're making you sicker. So everybody just stop, pause, think, and reconsider. You're not depressed. You need to rest. You need to reassess and you need to realign. That's what
And one
depression.
last, sorry, one last word. Go for a walk. Meet
Yes.
people. Meet people who are different from you, who speak differently, look different, who are from a different country, continent, culture, class, whatever. Speak
Yes.
to them. Listen to their stories. See, deliberately seek out other worldviews and
Ah,
other ways of seeing this world.
yeah.
Deliberately, deliberately seek out. Get out of your hegemony induced propaganda. See it for what it is. And go out, speak to those who are most often not in your circle. Take a walk away from your neighborhood and see how people are living, what they're
Ah,
saying,
yes.
and
Thank
you'll
you.
see it's not so difficult.
It is not. And that was a beautiful way to end this episode of Beyond Hegemony. I appreciate all of you that popped on and who are watching the replay. Once again, this will be up on our podcast on Spotify as well. If you don't have the opportunity to watch, you can at least go listen. We're always looking for co-collaborators who want to be um, on the show to give us your voice, give us your opinion, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Okay.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
everybody.
Have